Bryn, good morning. How are things in Rotorua today? How's the weather in Rotorua?
Yeah, good morning, Giora. It's just another typical winter day here at the moment. Not too cold.
Right.
Sun's not turned on. We've got some grey skies, but it's not raining at the moment. So
Right. We have a little bit of just had a downpour here in where I am in Auckland. So it's
yeah.
interesting. Winter's always interesting, isn't it?
Oh, you can get 4 seasons in one day. You know,
Yeah.
nice frosty morning, beautiful sunshine, and then half an hour later it can be bucketing down with rain. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's easy.
Rotorua is a nice place. I like Rotorua. Bryn, I want to ask to start with a question that takes us a little bit back to the past. So you and your wife, Jules, have been working in real estate in the industry for about 4 years right now, have
Yes.
done quite well. And your background before that, as I understand, is being teachers. And I'm really curious about your journey. How did you get into real estate? Why did you get into real estate? What brought in that change?
For sure. So yeah, we've been in it for 4 years. We've just tipped over 103 sales as
Wow,
of last Friday. So which is good.
nice.
We're making good numbers there. Getting into real estate. So I used to be a school teacher. So I used to teach secondary school,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife Jules, she used to teach early childhood. Um, I left school teaching maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I decided that I really liked having small interactions with small groups of people. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really enjoy being at the front of the class, so I really enjoyed tutoring motivated students. And so I started exploring sales roles because I thought they'll be perfect for one-on-one interactions with people that are motivated, they want to do something, and you want the best for them. So I started off with insurance, and
Mm-hmm.
I explored a bit of insurance. And then I was going through that whole insurance sales process, I bought a house through a guy, and he said, "Bryn, I think you'd be fantastic for selling houses." And anyway, we got on really well. We had a bit of a laugh, and I said, "Thanks, but no thanks." And then about 6 months later, he gave me another call and said, "Bryn, I really think you should get into real estate." So I went and had a coffee with him, and then from there, it just panned out, and that was me. I've been selling real estate ever since, and loving it.
Yeah, brilliant. Why do you think what did he see in you that you think made him go, join us? I think you'll do well.
Oh, I guess the guy, me and Carol Hereford, his name, we got on incredibly well,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not too sure what he saw in me, but I guess the fact we interacted well, I communicated well with him. He knew that I was wanting to get into sales, and he thought that I'll be far better off, in real estate with him than selling insurance with somebody else. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
possibly, and Carl and I, we're still good friends now. We still go and meet up for a beer on Fridays and talk and catch up.
Yeah, nice. I wasn't going to ask this question, but I'm really curious. So you've done insurance, you've done real estate. How do they compare? Are they similar, or do you find differences between them?
Yeah, well, I mean, so I never actually got into insurance sales. I went
Oh,
through and did all the training
yeah.
and, got myself to a point where I could have started insurance. Yeah, I guess they're probably quite similar in the fact that you've got a customer that needs a product,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just trying to get across to them. You're just trying to do the best for the customer. So it's incredibly similar to house sales as well, I
Yeah.
suppose. I guess the difference between insurance sales and house sales is when you're selling a house, you've got buyers that want to buy something. With insurance, you've got people that might need a product, life
Mm.
insurance, but they don't necessarily want it or understand it. So, you just have to come across with a good, not a good argument, but you just have to show them that, hey, look, this is the right product for you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, interesting, very interesting. And there's quite a few salespeople that I've worked with and trained or either trained or worked with that have been teachers or come into real estate from education background. Do you think there are some advantages, some things that the education system have taught you that helped you, that made you a better salesperson?
oh, definitely. I think, everything I've done to the point I became a salesperson prepared me for being a salesperson, particularly school teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have a lot of interactions with a lot of people with school teaching, and it teaches you to have a massive reserve of patience as well, because you have to answer the same question again and again and again, and you get a chance to refine it and have good answers.
Yeah.
You also pick up a lot of administration skills. So, in school teaching, you do a lot of written reports, very similar to real estate. If you want to be successful, you have to be a really good communicator. And so that's across all mediums, whether that's email, text message, Facebook, on the phone. And then my personal preference for communication is face to face. And, school teaching was good because it taught you get asked a lot of questions that might stump a lot of people, and you just learn not to react. Try and understand what the other person's coming from, and then you can respond with a tailored response that suits that person. And the whole time you're always just trying to do what's best for the person. So for instance, I just had a text message from a lady she's looking at a house that I'm selling, and she said, "Oh, do you think it would be possible that we could extend the garage or build another garage to fit my husband's truck?" And hey, look, cool. I'm glad you guys love the house, but really, you should probably find a house that's got a big enough garage that suits your truck, or sell the truck and buy a smaller car. You just got to do what's right for people, and there's no point trying to talk somebody into something that's not right for them.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. So the education is about a lot of patience, understanding personalities, talking to people, and that was definitely something that helped you in real estate.
Oh, definitely. Patience, communication. Those are the two biggest things I think that have really helped. Oh, and empathy for people too. So being able to understand their problem so that you can find a solution for it.
Yeah. So selling for 4 years right now, or around 4 years, doing it really, really well, 103 transactions, that's brilliant. What are some things that you are doing that you think have made you become successful, that have enabled you to become successful, things that you're doing that maybe other people are not doing?
Yeah, for sure. So like a lot of our business is referral business or repeat business.
Yeah.
And we've got a really good, I guess, word of mouth network. A lot of people just phone us up and say, "Oh, hey, Bryn, I've been talking to so-and-so, and they said that you're a good salesperson. Can you come sell my house?" So we get a lot of referrals like that. And I guess the reason we get a lot of referrals like that is we're unique in that we're a husband and wife team, and we work really well together. So a lot of people like having that male-female balance. We attend all of our open homes together. So Jules is the pretty face. She's at the front door. She meets and greets people and makes them feel welcome to the house. She gets all their details, and then I'll be inside and I'll answer all their questions.
Yeah.
And we do make a big effort to make our open homes spectacular. We put a lot of effort in. We've got nice music playing. The heating's always on if it's winter time. All the lights are always turned on. We've got nice smells in the house, either from candles or diffusers. We have a lot of information displayed around the house about the property, because if you've got 25 or 30 groups coming through, you don't have enough time to talk to everyone.
Yeah.
And so we have that information pre-prepared for people. The other thing is too, Jules will always show up early to the open home. I'll show up on time. Jules will leave on time, and I'll leave late, because there's nothing worse than shooing people out of an open home.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just one of the things we do. And I guess probably the other thing that we do too is I always work for the best interest of the people that I'm dealing with. So like I say, if I think a deal's not right for someone, I'll tell them and I'll let them know. So, hey, look, that deal might not work in that instance, but that person appreciates it and respects that fact. And I've done business with people 2 or 3 years later. I never sold them a house, but I showed them a lot of houses 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But when it came time for them to sell their house, they didn't call the person they bought it from. They called me. And I guess it was just because I was looking out for them and I had their best interests at heart.
Yeah. So you believe in the concept of real estate really being a long-term business. So I'll do what's right. Yeah. Maybe I won't maybe the deal or the money won't happen right now, but it might happen in the future because I've done what's right.
Yeah, 100%. And I firmly believe that. So, and it's proven itself time and time again, where I've not done a deal with someone because it didn't work in that instance, and I've let them know that.
Yeah.
But it's come back to me later on, 2 or 3 years later, where Bryn, we really respected the way you dealt with us, and we want you to sell our home. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Real estate is a long-term game.
Yeah.
You can make a whole bunch of quick sales now, but that's going to ruin your reputation. It's not going to be in the best interest of people, and you won't have a long-term career.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. And obviously you work with Jules together, a husband and wife team, which is really, really effective. But it also means that you never really have time off away from the business. You're always together. Even when you go on holiday, you're together. Does that put any pressure, extra pressure on you guys or in the family? Does it impact the way that you do business?
I guess, hey, look, I think Jules and I are quite unique in that we're best friends, and yeah, we work together. So we spend all day at work together. All our hobbies are the same. We mountain bike, we run, we walk the dog together. And look, and we live together in the same house with the same kids, so we do spend all our time together. It doesn't actually cause any stress for us. We see real estate more as a lifestyle than a job. So there's no clear definition between real estate and our lives. It's just we live a life, we happen to do real estate, and we fit everything else around it. I guess sometimes it can be a bit tiresome if you're at the end of the day and you're sitting on the couch having a cup of tea trying to unwind, but you're still having a conversation about, oh, what do you think about so-and-so for that house, and what about these questions? So I guess sometimes it would be nice to just have being able to have a detachment, but we talk to each other, and Jules will say to me, Bryn, the work day's over, we'll deal with it tomorrow. And I'll say have the same conversation with you too. But no, it doesn't cause any stress. For me, it actually works out a lot better.
Yeah.
Quite often, because we've got an office at home, which is where I'm at the moment. We've also got an office in town, and we work together in the office. Quite often, if I've taken a phone call, Jules will hear my phone call, and she'll be starting to write the email to the customer about what they want.
Yeah.
She'll be booking it in the diary, ready to go. So by the time I got off the phone, a lot of what I've talked about with the customer, Jules has already prepared. So it works out really well for us.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds as if you're a very, very effective team, very efficient as well.
Yeah. And that comes down to communication too. So which is helpful because we spend all day together, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. So I make the assumption that you probably work 6.5 days a week, long hours. How do you guys unwind? What do you do to relax and just re-energize?
And I guess with real estate, you don't really have too much control over your workload, in so much as some weeks it's a bit quieter and some weeks it's really hectic busy. So we do have certain routines in our day. So first thing in the morning, we go out and take the dog for a walk in the forest. So we'll spend half an hour together, not talking about real estate, walking the dog, enjoying the trees. In the evening, we've got a spa pool at our house. We like to sit in the spa and just unwind, have a chat. The 3 kids will jump in the pool with us as well, and we just talk about the day. And and then we all go out mountain biking together. So the whole family likes mountain biking. So those are our sort of unwind times. Sometimes it can be a bit hectic, like you say, work 6.5 days a week sort of a thing. We try and have Saturday off if we can. That usually ends up, might do an hour's worth of work on a Saturday, and then we try and take Wednesday and Thursday mornings off to just have a little bit of time away from real estate and just let the brain relax.
Yeah. Wow. Great. Well, you're very organized. I remember my selling days. There were plans, but it never really happened. So sticking to your plans, that's really important. That's great.
And I think you've touched on something there too. So when I first started in real estate, I snapped to everybody's, if a phone call came in, I'd snap to and I'd get to it straight away. Whereas now, I guess 4 years in, I've realized it's not to everyone's benefit if I snap to and do everything all the time, because then I'm not at my best. So now I know, okay, I need some time off. Look, sorry, I can't do that this morning because I've got appointments. And I've got an appointment with the forest and to de-stress, and then I'll deal with it later. So it is really hard when you first start in sales to not be at everybody's beck and call and, respond to every whim, and just have that discipline to go, okay, this is a bit of me time. I need the me time because it helps me perform better.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to admit, from my experience over the last week or so, just having the appointment with you and then the cancellation and new appointment, it was really, really easy for me to have that interview, because even though we had to cancel, you gave me options to accommodate it, and it made it work really, really well. So I think that's great.
And that's probably one of the first things I learned in insurance was you always go back to people with two options for what you want. For instance, I'll just pull these blinds. So, hey Giora, would you like to view 10 Forest Place? Does 4 o'clock work for you or 5 o'clock? So you never give them the answer to say no. You just give them two options to do what you want them to do. So first rule of sales.
Great. With maybe a bit of a serious question now. With the pandemic, things are a little bit different right now. Has it impacted your business? Obviously, you guys are level 2 right now, but before, has that created any impact on your business and the market in Rotorua?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, during lockdown when we went into level 4 and nothing could happen, that definitely impacted our business because we couldn't do anything at all. So there was no sales. I mean, there was a couple of sales that we did during that period where we signed contracts electronically. People had seen the house prior, and we got 2 deals over the line during lockdown. But coming out of lockdown, nothing. There'd been no activity. Hadn't done any appraisals. There was no new listings. So that was a little bit slow, and then business picked up. I would actually say that the lockdowns and the whole COVID things actually put more pressure on the housing market. And I would say that we're actually slightly busier now than we were before we went into the lockdown in March. So it's impacted it, but in a positive way. It's also made us, for level 2, because we practice social distancing, it's easier to private viewing because it's just you and one other person. We can wear masks, we can distance. When you're trying to run open homes, you have to have a really good plan. So we have people, Jules and I work together. So Jules at the front, she's just making sure there's not too many people in the house at the same time. We make a plan so people can go through the house one-way direction and get out and not have to pass each other. So look, that hasn't changed us too much, it's been really hard not to shake people's hands because that's like a default. And for me, that's a real nice way to make that human connection. So that's been quite hard, and quite often I have to shove my hands in my pockets to stop people trying to shake my hands. So I'm hoping that all this COVID thing stops soon, but everybody understands. And look, we're still making sales, and like I say, if anything, we're probably slightly busier than we were beforehand.
Yeah, so it sort of created the pressure on the funnel. Things that were going to happen then are now all happening together.
Yeah, and so like I found, like a lot of my friends are tradies, plumbers, sparkies, builders. Everybody seems to be busier now because what we had 5 or 7 weeks during the lockdown and level 3 where no business could occur. All that business just went on hold for a while, and now it's all happening now. So everybody's been busier. And I feel that that's the pressure that's happened. There's X amount of sales that have to happen each year because X amount of people have to buy and sell. We've removed 5 or 7 weeks from the year, so now we have to fit 52 weeks of the year into 45 weeks of the year. So it's busy.
Final question, and that's going to be probably the hardest one, because I'm going to ask you to predict the future. We've got elections in the US, obviously with the whole COVID things, nobody really knows what's going to happen. So a lot of things are coming up in the future. Do you think things will change better? Will they stay the same? Would you recommend to people to now make a decision and go ahead right now, or wait and see what's happening? What would be your thoughts right now?
Good call. And I'll give you the answer that I give to everyone, which is, look, I don't have a crystal ball. I honestly couldn't tell you what's going to happen in the future. I can tell you that the markets at the moment, it's actually the best it's ever been. Particularly in Rotorua, like we're having this least days on market. We're having fantastic sale prices. It is really, really good at the moment. Will that continue? Hey, look, I could argue either way that we're going to have a market crash, we're going to have a market boom. I honestly I don't know. I'd love to know, because I'm looking at buying some investment properties at the moment myself, and I don't know. And I guess for me, I'll go ahead and buy them because we're going to buy them long term.
Yeah.
You know, if I was going to buy them and try and sell them in a year or 2 years, yeah, there's some uncertainty in the market that's unpredictable. I don't know, but for us, it's a 20-year plan. It doesn't matter what happens in the interim for us with the property market, you know, with those investment properties, because in 20 years' time, they're always going to be worth more than what they are now. And that's the advice I give to people too. So, hey, look, if it's going to be your forever home, or you're here for 10 years, don't worry about what the market's going to do. Just get stuck in and buy.
Yeah.
If you are concerned about it and you have the luxury of being able to wait, just sit on the fence and see what happens. You know?
Yeah.
But you're gonna miss out on this house, because this house won't be here for you anymore. It'll be gone.
Yeah. It's really interesting about both. As we were talking, I'm kind of trying to analyze you and the way that you work, and I kind of put it down to maybe 3 things that I think you do really well. It's service, honesty, and great communication. Is that, would you agree with that? You can say no and say, Gary, you're absolutely wrong, but would you say that those are 3 of your main strengths?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I was thinking about that before we had the interview, and I only came up with 2 things, which was honesty and communication. But you're right. The third one, their service, is definitely it. So Jules and I, we do make it. We don't always get it right, but we try and respond to people's emails, you know, within sort of 1 or 2 hours of them coming in. We try and respond to phone calls, text messages as quick as we can. So yeah, I would say those 3 things that you just said do definitely. That's the ethos for how we operate. You know?
Brilliant. Bryn, I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you for taking some time off to have a chat with me, because I know you have a really, really busy day today. Appreciate it, and we shall have a chat, I hope, in the future again.
Brilliant. Hey, and thank you very much for the phone call. And it was, you know, and then it was nice to have this opportunity to do the interview with you. And yeah, looking forward to talking to you in the future.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much. See ya.